keep on trying. I'm about that life, never quit. I'm about that life, keep on striving. I'm about that life, keep on pressing. I'm about that life, keep on shining. I'm about that life, keep on dreaming. I'm about that life, never stopping. I'm about that life. I'm about that life. I'm about that life. You know, they say I'm dreaming. Yes, I'm dreaming. So what? I don't care. She's about that life. I'm about that life. It's a dream thing, y'all.
Today on About That Life, I sit down and talk to an extraordinarily talented and incredible human being. From theme park entertainment to Broadway caliber productions, he says once the theater bug bit him, he could not part ways. He has starred in productions such as Fairy Tale Christmas, The Little Mermaid, When You Wish as the lovable Bear Baloo, and most recently in Little Shop of Horrors as the sultry, soulful voice of the plant. Once you hear that voice, you really can't forget it. Here is Garyon Judon. Okay, Garyon. Thank you for being on here. We both clapped our hands at the same time. I really, really appreciate you for being here on the show. Love to see your smile. You've always been just a light in my world ever since I met you in 2019. Just so that my guests and my viewers out there know how we know each other. We met, like I said, in 2019. We were on contract with Tuacon. We played various roles. Do you want to list all the roles that you played for that season?
Well, I was in When You Wish, I was Baloo in
Mhm.
the Jungle Book section, and then I understudied the genie in the Aladdin section, and then I was ensemble for Little Mermaid, um, but I was Jellyfish Dad. I had a whole jellyfish family, so me and Kathy were the
Yes.
parents.
Kathy Newman.
Yes, yes. She's been on your show, right?
Yes, she has. Yes, everyone knows
Yes,
Kathy. I'm not even playing. Like everyone knows Kathy Newman is scary,
yes,
but beautiful at the same time because she's amazing.
she is. I miss her so much. Uh,
Yes,
but I got to, and then in When You Wish, in your section, when you were Tiana, I got to play trombone
that's
with,
right.
yeah, so which I hadn't played in a long time. I grew up playing trombone, but I got to play it in that section. And then Little Mermaid, back to Little Mermaid, I was ensemble Jellyfish Dad, and then understudy Chef Louis.
Yes.
So
You went on for Chef Louis, didn't you? I know you did.
I
You did.
did.
Okay, you did all of your understudy roles essentially because you did Chef Louis and you also went on for Genie.
Yes, yes.
And I've never I was offered an understudy position one time, but I had to turn down the contract. What is it like to be in an understudy position for a contract?
Well, that was my first time ever being like hired in an understudy position.
Mm,
Um, because I grew up doing well, I got my start in theme park. And so in theme park, you just go ahead and learn stuff just in case, because things really can change on the fly, and you really might be running off stage and they're like, you have to sing so and so solo. And then you just have to figure it out. Like that's where I learned how to reblock a show on the fly, like all of that. So, but the first time I'd ever been hired to understudy roles was Tuacon,
wow.
and I was freaking out. I was so nervous because not only did I have to learn my stuff, I had to learn other people's stuff too. And what if something happened during the show? And all of a sudden they have to make the announcement that the role of Chef Louis will tonight will be played by Garyon Judon. Like it's honey, that never happened. I was always forewarned and always knew with enough time, but Yeah, it
Yeah.
was scary.
Especially at a place like Tuacahn because things can happen. A lot of
Right.
people may not know this about Tuacahn is an amphitheater
Mm,
with 2,000 seats. It's beautiful. We had Red Canyon, Red Rock Canyons behind us and surrounding us. It was just so beautiful. But we had weather elements that could change at any time.
mhm.
We actually had a stop in the middle of a show. I think two shows. One time in Little Mermaid because the set piece was having issues going off, and then another time was during Sound of Music. We had heavy winds and we had to stop. It was affecting the tech and everything else. And so I understand where you're like, okay, what if something happens to Wilkie and I have to go on
Right,
Wilkie in the middle of a show?
right.
Oh my goodness. But you handled it with such grace and like I had no idea you were nervous and I had no idea that was the first time that you'd ever had to understudy for anything.
Thank you. Thank you. I had fun. I
Yeah.
really because by the time I went on for those roles, we were kind of into the run, because I
Yeah.
think we started rehearsals in April and then we opened the shows maybe like May and June. I think
Mhm.
by that time we'd had all three shows open. And so it was over in August, I think, when I went on for those roles. So by that time, I was settled into my roles. And then by that time, I was like, it was exciting, nervous, but it was exciting because it was like something new, because when you're doing rep and you're doing it for a long time, like we were, you just kind of get used to your routine and all that stuff. So it kind of shook me up a little bit in the middle of the contract.
Yeah. And also when you mentioned you were in the Mardi Gras band for Tiana, I was so amazed at how many of you knew how to play instruments. Like I was like, oh, I wish I had played an instrument, like really learned how to play because you guys were so ready to take on those instruments. I was like, oh, it's so beautiful to see.
Well, I started playing in seventh grade. And
Okay.
because I had transferred schools, I was going to a school that didn't have a music department, and I kind of got into some trouble. And so my dad was like, "Well, let's try you at this school."
Mm,
And so I went and started doing band and never got in trouble again. So
mm.
so I needed an outlet. And when I first got into band, I wanted to play bassoon because I thought it was really cool.
Wow.
Right,
Come on, goals.
right, right.
Serious goals there.
But my band director was like, we need trombone players, so you're gonna play trombone, which ended up working out well because I was able to make like the all district band, the all state band,
Mm.
all of that, and then it helped pay for college, so that was really good.
That's amazing. So you found your niche through
I
band.
did.
At my school, it was either band or chorus. So I never really went down the band route because you couldn't do both. It was kind of just like you had to pick your musical or fine arts lane and stick to it. Maybe you could
Mm,
switch at some point if you wanted to, but a lot of people were dedicated band people, so they didn't really switch over to chorus.
mhm.
When did you discover your voice?
Oh, well, that's been a process.
Hmm.
That has been a total like trial and error, liking it, hating it, like all of it. I've been through all of it with my voice because when I was a kid, my voice was very high. Like
Hmm.
I could sing soprano in church. It was very high. And then it started to change and I didn't know what to do with it. But before it changed, I remember answering the phone and people were like, hi ma'am, can you blah blah blah, can I speak to so and so? And I'm like, I'm not a ma'am, but yes, you may speak to so and so. And then it started to change. And then on top of that, I had a country accent, which it still comes out, like it's still very much there. But because I grew up in Mississippi, and I went to college, and I started studying voice. That was the first time I'd ever had like a voice teacher, anything like that. I grew up singing in church, all of that stuff. But and then it started to change even more,
Mm.
because in church, the way we, hit the high notes and held out the notes, uh, you you rear back and you let it go.
Jennifer Holiday.
Exactly. Exactly. So
Mm.
I was rearing back, I was doing the rear back, and and so when I started studying voice classically, and my voice teacher was like, okay, the first thing we're going to teach you is how to hit hot notes in your upper register without
Mm.
without touching the back of your head to the floor. So that started, and then studying, I completely lost my falsetto.
Oh,
Like
wow.
it just, I couldn't access it. Head voice, no mix, no nothing. So my range was very limited, and it freaked me out. Like it really freaked me out. And to this day, I don't know what happened, but it came back like a year later. And so then fast forward, I started performing professionally. I would watch videos of myself and hate them. I was like, oh, like, why do I sound like this? And I would literally pick it apart to the point to where I just didn't like my voice and I would want it to sound like someone else's voice.
Mm.
And so it was probably up until from I started performing professionally 2007. So all the way up until last year, January of last year. So 17 years later is when I finally started to like my voice,
Wow.
because I had taken 4 years off because of the pandemic, and hadn't performed since 2019. And I finally started performing again, and then I heard myself on a recording, and I was like, "Oh my God, like that's coming out of me, like that's what I sound like." I don't know if it was life, you
Mm.
know, the pandemic, stress, the trials and tribulations. I don't know what it was, but something matured my voice. And and then I started to like it, and then that's when I did Little Shop at the beginning of last year. And so I heard myself on a recording and I was like, oh wow, I have a voice and I like it, and I'm going to own it and embrace it, and figure out how I can use this. And just to, like, if I'm getting long-winded, please cut me off.
No, no, keep talking, please.
Um, but I'd had a dream some years ago that I was walking down the street in this neighborhood, and it was like this huge mansion. And you know how they have like I think it's like a rod, called like a wrought iron gate or fence. They come
Mhm.
up at a peak, and the two that open up, they come up at a peak and then kind of go
Right.
down.
Mhm.
And these guys were standing outside of it. It was closed, and they were standing outside of it trying to paint it gold with brushes. And I was like, give me that paint. And so I put it in my mouth and and started spraying the gate gold. And I got it done like quickly. And I felt like in that dream that I was being like, that God was letting me know that my voice was going to open doors for me.
Wow.
Yeah, and so because it opened after I finished spraying it, the gate just
Mhm.
opened by itself. And so now whether or not that's going to get me a mansion or anything like that, I don't know. But but it seems like this past year when I was in a little shop, I was like, give me that paint. Like I embraced it, and I started to put my voice out there in a way that I never had before. And I was able to work all year, and it was beautiful. So I think, discovered and embraced my voice January of 2020, no, February of 2024.
I am shaking my head this entire time. I'm like, "What? How could you have not known how beautiful your voice is?"
Mm,
That is, and it's just it highlights something I think about us performers, how sometimes we don't want to watch our work, how we don't see value in what we have, even our gifts. Because to me, I'm like, I would never have guessed that about you.
Oh,
Even for the 7 months that we were, working together, I was seeing somebody who was very confident in their voice, like, because your voice is just, even when you're talking, is beautiful. But when you sing, I'm telling everybody here right now, if you, I hope you get to see Gary. And I know in the future you are all going to know who he is. But if you ever get to hear his voice, like in any performance, just sitting in the audience, my gosh, it's just, oh, those, just the deepness of your voice is just, it's velvet. So I'm like, I can't even believe that it took all up until last year for you to see it. It's just, but I think that's just, like I said, I think that's just something about us artists.
mhm,
We don't see our gifts or ourselves clearly as other people see.
mhm, mhm.
It's just,
That's definitely like huge because we're we're constantly putting ourselves out there and being vulnerable in front of all these people, and we're going into these audition rooms and hoping to get the job, and we've prepared, and you don't really know what they want, and you kind of you get the breakdown and you don't really know, and then you have to sometimes deal with rejection, and then you get close and then you still get a no, and it's just so hard. So it's like, how do I get to the point of loving myself and not taking that personally? And so that's something that I think I had to do, because it was hard just
mm.
to that point of seeing what I had to offer and embracing that and running with it.
I just thank you for being vulnerable like that, because I'm always up and down about my voice through so many different vocal issues. And like, I've lost my voice twice. I don't know if you remember, like towards the end of the season of Tuacan, I was dealing with chronic dry mouth issues. I have definitely gone through what you were going through as far as viewing my voice, but I never would have suspected that for you. So
Yeah.
this
Not
conversation is very important. This is why I love this show, because that's the reason why I wanted to do this, was to heal myself through
Mhm,
reaching out to my others, to my friends who may have gone through stuff, who knows, but to just be vulnerable.
mhm. Well, I never would have thought that you struggled with yours either, because you have a gorgeous voice,
Thank
very
you.
gorgeous voice. I love hearing you, you too, you speak and then hearing you talk as well. If and I'll say this because I've been listening to your voice a lot lately, because
Yeah,
she was just a guest on my podcast.
that's right. That's
And,
right. You go
and
ahead,
so
plug it right now. Let's plug it right now.
it's called Now Go Live Your Life. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Amazon Music. And it's Now Go Live Your Life. And that's my new podcast. And so I spent a lot of time with your voice this last week. And it's like, it's so good to hear, and it's so relaxing. And I just find myself like getting this sense of peace and a sense of joy, because it's a very fun conversation that we had. I laughed so much, like in the while we were having the conversation, and I laughed like going back and listening to it as well. So, but your voice is so important, and I am so glad that you are doing this right now. And just in spite of all the things that you may have thought about your voice, the struggles that you've had, you have not let that stop you from putting your voice out there. So you are doing this right now. Your voice needs to be heard. It is so important for Taj's voice to be heard. There are people waiting to hear what Taj has to say. There are people who are waiting to be affected by the vibrations that come out of your sound. So I am
Mm.
so proud of you. I am
Oh,
so proud of you. And honey, we may continue to struggle sometimes with these voices.
well, I said about trials and tribulations, didn't I?
Yes, you did. Yes, you
I did.
did. Yes.
What was your first chance to perform live?
Oh, well, I grew up in church.
Mm.
So I grew up, singing there. But as far as my first time on stage was Cinderella, Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella at the Tupelo Community Theater in Tupelo, Mississippi. I was 16. It was a summer youth production. And I think I was 16, 15 or 16. But I'd never heard of that. And so my friend was auditioning. He was like, you should come audition as well. And so I was 15 because I was driving and I wasn't supposed to be, and it was
Oh,
illegal. So
you have a permit or anything? No permit, nothing?
no, nothing. No, nothing. But my uncle let me drive to rehearsal.
Listen, we listen and we don't judge. Okay.
Yes, yes.
It's okay.
Yeah. So it was definitely 15. And but he told me he was auditioning. And so and he was like telling me I should come audition as well. And so I did, and I got in, and we had two casts. So because there were a lot of kids. And so we had two casts so that each like cast got to go on for principal roles. So I was the Herald in one cast. So I sang The Prince is Given a Ball. And so I sang that, and then I was the king in the second cast. So then we switched. So when I went on to um as the king, I think he went on as the herald.
Mm.
But that was my first time on stage, and I was bitten by the musical theater bug.
Ooh.
Honey, that little musical theater mosquito came and tore me up. And I was like, what is this?
Mhm.
All these people coming, the lights, the music, the choreography,
The applause.
the applause, yes. And before Lady Gaga was living for the applause, I was definitely living for the applause. So, no, but I had the best time. And so
Mhm.
I had to keep doing theater, and that's where it all really started. And a cool story, uh, the guy who who cast me and directed the show, his name was Chris Bozen.
Mhm.
And so when I did that was when I was 15 years old. I did Little Shop in Nashville this past October, no, in Franklin, Tennessee, outside of Nashville. And somebody came in and was like, Garyon, Chris Bozen is here to watch you perform tonight.
Oh,
The person who gave me my first role in a show all these years later
that's so
came to watch
sweet.
me do it professionally. And I got some tissue here, just I'm
It's
emotional.
okay. It's okay.
But I was like, this is a full circle moment.
Mhm.
Like this is so cool having him see what him giving me that opportunity all those years ago what it has now become. So all that to say, my first time performing on stage was in Cinderella at the Tupelo Community Theater.
When I say the name Philip Boykin, what does that mean to you?
Uncle Phil.
That's a different person.
Right. No, I hear like I've never had the opportunity to meet him. Um,
Mhm.
but I hear like some people in the theater world call him Uncle Phil.
Oh, okay.
And so I had the blessing and opportunity to see him as Tauntaun Julian in Once on This Island in the revival. That man in that role gripped me. Oh my goodness. Like he, so much so that that's one of my dream roles now. I would love to play Tauntaun Julian because the way he embodied that and just oh, like there was so much love and vulnerability. And so I have become a fan. I know he's done, things before that. But that was the first time I ever saw him perform in real life. And just I saw it twice and was just blown away. And then he went on to play Hades in Hades Town, which is also one of my dream roles. So I am like,
You're like, Phil, can you host a class?
please, please give it some private lessons or something. Can we do a
Right.
Zoom? You know, please teach me your ways because I mean, in his voice too, oh, just beautiful and
Powerhouse.
rich. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. So that's what I think of. I think of hope and I think of opportunity and I see where a direction that my career could go in because of him, he's also a bigger man, who has been able to tell all these stories in such a beautiful way. And so that's what it does for me when I hear Philip Boykin is this is cheesy, but it lets Garyon know that this boy can do it. So
Mm.
that's a little punny moment, but uh,
It's all good. Someone else I think of when I hear you talk or even when you sing is Ken Page.
hmm
Yeah.
Kim Page, yeah, yeah. Not to I thought of that when you me saying yeah and all that when they're like, oh yeah, I'm a Ken Page, but no, it was
Well, no,
like
you both have very similar sounds, and
Mm,
I could definitely see you doing a lot of the roles that he played as well.
thank you, thank
Mhm.
you. Oh God, whoever's listening, somebody cast me in these roles, please.
Right. You're gonna be in Cats. I forget what role he played in Cats.
Was it Old Deuteronomy?
Probably, I don't remember.
Mhm.
It was you remember there was a production of Cats that was videotaped.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's been videotaped since then, but it's the very famous taping of this production, and it wasn't live. I guess they found a theater that they just videotaped the performers doing the whole full show, but it wasn't in front of an audience.
really?
Yeah, so a lot of the older clips of Cats that you see is from that production, and he was in it, and I just don't remember what role he played.
Oh, I need to go find it.
Who are your inspirations? You've already mentioned Philip Boynton. Is there anyone else on the list?
Um, not in this industry.
Mhm.
Um, I would say my mom because I'm definitely a mama's boy.
Aw.
Um, she has she has gone through so much. She's been through just so many challenges in her life and lost both of her parents. And she still exudes so much love um, and joy. And people just want to be, people just want to be her child. Like she's like a mom to everybody. And so she is such an inspiration to me because she has fought so hard to make it in life and I'm like, you have every right to be bitter. You have every right to be angry because of all the stuff that you've been through, but you choose joy, you
Mm.
choose love, you choose happiness. And so she is a huge inspiration to me and I just love her to death. And um I'm just close to my mom. We talk about everything, like everything. And so I just love her. Geraldine. J
Oh.
Jurldean. So it's not Geraldine, Geraldine. And
Oh,
so
distinction. Get it
but
right, everyone. Get it right.
get it right. And then another inspiration would be Oprah. I love Oprah. She's from Mississippi. I'm from Mississippi.
That's right.
And she knew, like, she was discriminated against simply because of the color of her skin. And I have experienced that growing up in Mississippi and just feeling like, because I'm, Black, that I had to work twice as hard or sometimes more to
Mm,
just be seen, even seen at all in the same spaces as some of my white counterparts. And so that it's been a struggle. And so, but to see somebody like Oprah, who grew up in Mississippi, and to see what she has become, and I just follow her life. I follow like like all her podcasts, like all of that, like all of her stuff. I was a mess when her show ended, that 25th season. I cried the whole season. Like it was,
aw.
but I just love her because she's an example of who can come out of Mississippi. And I know there are so many other amazing people who've come out of Mississippi, but for me, she is definitely an inspiration. And I've had a dream that Oprah and I were standing in the kitchen making cookies together. So I believe it's gonna happen.
I hope for you as well.
Right.
Just to be in the kitchen making cookies.
I know. Oh, yes.
Which actor or singer would you like to work with in the future? I mean, besides Oprah.
Yeah, besides Oprah, um, Auntie Viola Davis.
Thank you.
Oh, and I know, come on, Rose.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. True,
I
true to
oh
form, yes.
that woman just I mean just gives me life.
Mhm.
And to be able to, first of all, just be in the same room as her, but then to get to work with her, I think I would just be beside myself. She's another inspiration too. Like I just love her. I love what she stands for. I love like that she is just herself. She's open and honest about struggles that she's had, and
Mhm.
that's beautiful. And I love how, like, one of the things that really got me was on Scandal, that she was taken off. She was like in a scene. She was not Scandal, How to Get Away with Murder,
Right.
one of them Shonda Rhimes shows, but How to Get Away with Murder. She was taking off her wig, and she just started like wiping, and I think she said this wasn't even like in the script, but just started like wiping off the makeup and all of that stuff, and that was in this scene, and I can't imagine that scene without that in it.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, what is this? Like, she is like shining right now. It's so beautiful to just see her be this vulnerable. She's Viola Davis, and
Mhm.
she's sitting here just showing everybody just raw, just no makeup, taking the makeup off, all of that. So Viola Davis is somebody who I would love to work with.
I don't blame you. Yeah, that would be a dream come true, truly.
Mhm.
Like you said, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. I'd have to give myself pep talks every single day before I went in to work with her. Like, I can do this. I can handle myself. Get together before they fire you.
Right, right.
Exactly. What is your all-time favorite musical?
Ah, The Lion King. Oh, honey, from the moment that first, "Nah, I am gone. I mean, just woo, woo, just crying, shaking, everything. I mean, I love that show because I remember seeing it on the Tonys and
Mhm.
seeing that performance. And I've always loved like African drums and all that stuff too. I think it might be a little bit in my blood somewhere. I think maybe that's why I love
You were a djembe drummer. You got it.
You're right. But I remember seeing it and just being blown away by it. And I've seen it 4 times and I just cry every single time like I never have seen it. And so which is it's also my favorite Disney movie. And so I love The Lion King. And I tomorrow I'm going to see Mufasa. I haven't seen it yet because I've had to get myself together because I love Aaron Pierre and everybody else.
I'm sorry.
Aaron Pierre.
I'm sorry. Oh my
If
God.
you
I
so
I did not expect you to say you need to bring yourself together because of Aaron Pierre, because he's not even featured in the film. Like you can't even see him in the movie.
but the
I'm
voice.
thinking you had to bring yourself together because of James Earl Jones or something.
I mean that too.
you know.
That
Uh,
too. I love
I'm aware. I'm aware of the yeah. I'm aware of the Aaron Pierre effect.
honey. Ooh, ooh.
And speaking of Mufasa, I just want to bring up a beautiful memory that I have of Tuacan. Is that when we were coming back from one of our shows, one of the castmates had her kittens in the hallway, and you picked the kitten up and did a whole speech as Mufasa. I was wondering if you could do that for me right now because I
Yes,
love
it
that
was
moment so
it
much.
was one of Jess's cats. And I just saw
Yes,
that
yes,
not too long ago. It's somewhere on the inner world. But I
yes.
had the cat. We'll pretend this is the cat. And I had the cat right here. And I love when Mufasa says, Simba, you deliberately disobeyed me. And that's what I said to that cat. And James Earl Jones, I mean, the voice, you deliberately disobeyed me. And that was it. That was what I did with the cat. But yes, Taj, you have a great memory. You have a great memory.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't know why I'm always like that. I don't know, I'm extra nostalgic, I guess,
I
about
love
certain
it.
things. What was more fun, playing Baloo or Genie?
Um, I think they were fun in different ways. Baloo, he was jovial. He was light and just a big bear, like a big teddy bear. And I felt like that was a lot like me. And Baloo just wanted to eat, which is a lot like me. So um so I really enjoyed that and surprisingly, a lot of people like really enjoyed Baloo as well. I didn't expect the reaction and the feedback that came from that. So I love Baloo. I think it's because he's just he's just lovable. Like he's just a lovable character. And then the genie, playing the genie was now it was a lot of fun as well because that's one of my dream roles. I would love to, play that on Broadway one day or on tour. So
Mhm.
playing that, getting to play that role in When You Wish and going for that was incredible. And it was so much fun. It was so high energy. And I think I died about 4 times in that each time. But we had pains. I had fire coming out of my hand. We had streamers. We had caps. We had just everything. Light up shoes. Like,
For the genie, did you have to do a lot of the choreography that the ensemble was doing behind you?
not a lot of it. There were parts I would come in,
Okay.
and, but the at the end, when we had the canes, I did
Mhm.
all that choreography, and
Oh, wow.
then you sing
That
it.
was pretty hard. It's pretty
Yeah.
hard choreography.
Mhm. So it was a lot of fun, and I was just honored to get to do it because, like I said, it's one of my dream roles. And a funny story is the first time I went on, I didn't know this at the time until a few days later. I had strep and did not even know. I thought it was just the air in Utah. And I thought, because it's really dry there, and I thought, just my throat was just really, really dry. And so, it just felt like somebody kept punching my throat, and I kept chugging water and like all that stuff. And so I'm surprised I even made it through that performance and When You Wish, um, because it was tough. Like it was tough. And then um, I went and found out that I had strep. So that's why I felt like somebody was punching my throat.
I'm s I'm sorry that happened. I remember when that happened. We were all like, "Wow." And we were all like, "Anyone else have it?" And it was just randomly you. I think, I can't recall, but
It
I was like,
was.
"Oh." You definitely made Baloo your own. Like,
Mm.
I love Baloo, your version of Baloo, more than the original movie version. Like, I don't want you to do a movie of and play Baloo because in the Jungle Book, because I mean, I never really resonated with the Jungle Book like that, but after watching you, how much joy you had,
Oh,
I was like, "This little bear is so cute." Like, you and Afton did such a cute
yeah.
little, thing on together, and I loved it.
Thank you. Thank you. It really was a lot of fun, and with that big hoop thing on, it was definitely a lot of fun. And I think at some point I was like storing um the prickly pears in my
Mhm.
like in my costume.
Right, right,
So
right.
yeah, it was a trip.
And every time I hear that song, I always go, "Next time, beware." Like,
Right, yes, yes.
every time I hear that line, I literally think of you. So, all memories.
Hmm.
Beautiful. It was a lot of work. We played so many different characters. We were running around like crazy ants, but we did it. Recently, you starred in 2 productions of Little Shop of Horrors. How was that experience?
A dream come true because I by that time I pretty much like I had done a Christmas show in 2023, and and I heard about a theater doing Little Shop, and my friend had been cast as Seymour. And
Mm,
so he knew that they needed a voice of the plant. And so he told the director that I was interested. And so I ended up booking it, and it was just a dream, because here's a role that I have wanted to play for years. And Hunter, the opportunity to get to stand backstage and just sing.
That's exactly what I was about to ask. I was like, do you ever come on stage ever? But
In this production, well, I was the wino at the beginning, and then in this production, I came out in the finale when he does the "Here I come for you." I came out during that part, and but then so that was awesome. Like that was very, very awesome. And then particularly in that production, we only did one performance, not one day, not one week, one weekend, one performance. It was a fairly new theater company,
okay.
and I think I don't know why. Maybe it was just just testing the waters, all that stuff. I don't know, but so since that was my first time, like in a long time being back on stage, a lot of people in Kentucky had never seen me perform. So I literally had a charter bus of people show up to this perform. I personally sold over 70 tickets to this one performance. And so it was because a lot of my friends from Kentucky had never seen me perform. They'd only heard me talk about theater. And so they showed up
Oh,
to see it. And I had some friends from Tennessee come, my family from Mississippi came. And so it was just a huge night. And I remember just at the end, we did a Q&A and I walked out and I saw all my friends and family and just broke. Like I was like ugly crying on that stage. Then but it that so that was me getting to do it. And then um a cool story about how I got to do it again. I, heard that there was a theater, having a theater company in Nashville having auditions for it. And so I was like, well, one performance. I am not finished playing this role. I was like, I need to play this role again. So I was like, I'm gonna go audition for it. And so I like talked myself into it. This was my first audition, like, because I didn't audition for the first production, I just got cast in it. And so this is my first audition since 2020 when I was auditioning in New York for shows for that year. And so I was nervous. I was like freaking out. And so I go to the audition and I sit in the car and I just pray. I said, God, help me release the expectations of this audition. I just want to go in and I just want to have fun and I just want to enjoy it because auditions kind of stress me out. I went in, I stood there, and and by this time, I'd embraced my voice. I was like, this is what I, have to offer. And I walked in that room and I was like, I want to push the tables back when I sing, when I sing Feed Me. And so I went in there and I stood there and I had fun and I enjoyed it and they seemed to be enjoying it. And so I left out and I was like, that was a lot of fun. And I released it. And so the next day I get a call from another director who's like, "Hi, this is Patrick Cassidy." He was like, "I know you didn't audition for me yesterday, but they've decided to go with the company you auditioned for yesterday decided to go with a girl for the voice of the plant." And so I'm doing it at Studio 10 in Franklin, Tennessee, and I would love for you to come in for the callbacks. They gave me your audition video from last night, and I would love for you to come in. And I said, well, I sure will. And so I went in, did the audition, and it was me, another guy, and two girls called back for it. And I showed up and I didn't know anybody. This is my first time auditioning in Nashville in that whole area. It was second time after that first initial. But I was like, I don't know anybody here. And so and there was a girl who literally went in and sang it in my register. Like she was literally like, feed me, Seymour. Like I was like, this is incredible. And she was from that area, and I was like, I know she has it. So I just decided, I was like, I didn't book it. I got in the hotel, everything, because I was like, I'm gonna spend the night in Franklin, Tennessee, after the audition. I was like, I didn't book it. So I went and got myself a bottle of whiskey. I called one of my friends, and and I was like, I'm sad. I don't think I got it. And I just I there were some people in there who just blew it out the water, and they're from this area. They're known around here. And so I wake up the next morning from a phone call. Garyon, is Patrick Cassidy with Studio 10. I loved your audition, and I would love to offer you the role of the voice of the plant. Girl, I wanted to tear that hotel down because I wanted to tear it down because I was jumping, I was screaming, everything. So I got to do it again, and it was an incredible experience to get to do my dream role twice
Hmm.
in two different productions in 1 year. Uh, it was just magical.
That is a wild and crazy story. Like
Yeah.
that they send you to somebody else who's doing a whole nother production. That's amazing. Well, that just shows how talented you are that somebody's like, you cannot not cast this person. Like this person
Oh,
needs to be working. We need to give them a job somewhere. What's your new favorite Broadway show lately? Because there's been a lot of new shows that have come out. Anyone that's just resonating with you?
A Wonderful World. So
Mm,
I've always
makes
been a
sense.
fan. Yeah, makes sense. I've always been a fan of Louis Armstrong, and I've always been a fan of James Monroe Iglehart. And he's another one who I'm like, James, teach me your ways. Because I just love that guy. And I got to play Louis Armstrong in a theme park production one time and
Mm,
taught myself trumpet to be able to play What a Wonderful World. And I was like, I believe I can, and seeing that they were doing it, and I was like, are they going to do the voice too? I mean, you can't have Louis Armstrong without the voice. And
mhm,
so, uh, and seeing that James Monroe Iglehart was doing it, and I was like, I can do that voice. Like I've played Louis Armstrong in a show before. I was like, I can do that voice. And so, um, all the promos, I need a cast recording. I need them to come on with this cast recording because I need to hear it. And I know it just closed and I didn't get to see it.
yeah,
So, but I would love, love, love to see and do that show. I think it would be a lot of fun.
mm. I love Louis Armstrong. So
Me too.
that show, yeah, it has my heart already because it's like it's about Louis Armstrong. I love him.
Hmm.
What has been a major adversity you have faced in your career?
Me, uh, there have been times that I've held myself back from a lot, uh, because of dealing with my weight or my voice, or maybe I did felt like I didn't have as much education as someone else. Maybe I felt like my resume wasn't as shiny as someone else's. And so a lot of times I told myself that I couldn't do it before I even tried. And so I so in working it through things in therapy, and I'm like, I discovered, you know, that it was from my childhood, like all those times where I was telling myself that I couldn't. And even when I started theater, I had some people who were close to me speaking negatively to me about doing it. And so, and I didn't realize how much that had affected me until um, I was in therapy and working through all of those things. And so now I continue to work because I feel like if I'm more comfortable and more and able to present a more authentic version of myself, a more whole version of myself, then I am able to stand flat-footed in that character on stage and give of myself and give a performance to the audience and tell a story of this person who I'm telling the story of, and not be worried about it. All I'm doing is releasing it and doing the best I can, and it's not up to me how people receive it. And
Mm.
so I was my biggest adversity because of things I hadn't worked through, things I hadn't dealt with. And so that's why the rejection or the being told no hit me so hard, is because of the things I hadn't worked through. Because it wasn't just them, they're casting the show the best that they can. And so, but me hearing no is, you're not good enough. You're too fat. Your voice isn't good enough. You don't have the education. Your resume isn't as good as somebody else's. It wasn't all that. It was, so I do the work. So I was my biggest adversity in this industry. And I'm overcoming that.
Mm. Someone needs to do a TED talk. Ugh, that was beautifully said. My goodness. Heaviness to that, too.
Yes, honey.
What's the best advice have you been given?
Um, I think telling myself that I can and that I should, and to just lean in,
Mm.
because that's what I'm discovering is, um because I think you can hear it from someone else, and and people can tell you, but until you start to believe it for yourself. So you can try to hand me $100, and it's up to me whether or not I take it from you and use that $100. So people would tell me things. Oh, you can. I see so much potential. Oh, Gary, you're talented. Blah blah blah. Like all of that stuff. But until I received that I can, and that I can do it, and that I should try it, and that if it doesn't go the way I think it should, we'll find another way. So the biggest advice that I have received into myself is that I can, and I should, and I should lean in and at least try it.
What are future goals and dreams that you have?
Ooh, um, of course, like, I would love to be on Broadway one day. I would love to originate a a role on
Mhm.
Broadway. Um, I would like to play some of these other dream roles that I have, but I love seeing other people get the opportunity to be creative and to do art. And so one of my biggest dreams is to open a school like the Debbie Allen School of Dance, but open something like that in my area in Mississippi, because the theater that I went and um, did Cinderella at was 30 something minutes away from me. And we had a huge auditorium, a huge theater at my high school. And we did a couple shows there, but there's so much more that could be done there. And so I would love to be able to start a school of the arts there, and be able to have enough funding to where the kids can come whose parents can't afford it, and we provide their costumes, we provide their ballet tights, their ballet shoes, like all of that stuff. We provide it. We just want you to come and be a part, because art is important, and to be able to experience that and to learn, then I want those kids in that area to be able to do it. So that's one of my biggest dreams, is to open up a school of the arts in my area in Mississippi, and for people to be able to come and study without the financial burden of being able to do so.
Mm. Last question, Garyon, and it's my favorite one. Do you like yourself?
Mhm. I do.
Oh.
Because I haven't been able to always answer that question confidently. And Garyon, that was born in 1982, and Garyon now have been through a lot of together. And baby, I got to like me. I'm the only one who lives with me 24/7, 365, sometimes 366. I am the only one who lives with me every second of every single day. So if I don't like me, we about to go through some torturous times because I'm like, so I got to learn to like me. Do I always do everything right? No. Am I always the best? No. But I am learning to not judge myself. I'm learning to give myself some grace. I'm learning to talk to myself how I would talk to a friend. Because sometimes, I'll start and I could start to beat myself up. And I'm like, if your friend was going through the same exact thing, would you say that to them? And I would never would. So I was like, then don't say it to yourself. So, yes, I like me and I love me and all that this big old body comes with and all that it has to offer.
I like you and I love you. And
I
I know,
like and love you.
yes, and I know anyone that watches this is going to love you just automatically because you are an amazing person, not just an amazingly talented, person as far as your career, but just an amazing person individually. I want to thank you tremendously for being on this show. I want to thank all of you for watching, and I will see you next time on About That Life. Bye.
Thank, bye. Thank you for having me.
Bye.